You've probably noticed that Brazilian politics is in turmoil. Every day, new developments emerge and shake up the inner workings of Brasilia. But this time, the impact came from outside. A controversial gift from the U.S. reached Alexandre de Moraes and created a tense atmosphere within the Superior Court of Justice, STJ. This episode isn't just another news story. It directly impacts decision-making power in Brazil and shows how international relations can influence even the Supreme Court. Those of you who closely follow politics know how significant this could be for the near future. The gift in question wasn't symbolic, nor was it formal. It was accompanied by documents that cast doubt on Moraes' actions in delicate situations involving foreign companies and citizens. And this detail transformed what could have been a mere formality into a scandal sweeping the courts. The Superior Court of Justice, STJ, which normally acts as a technical body, now finds itself in the midst of a high-pressure dispute. The mere presence of this issue in the chambers is enough to create discomfort among ministers who prefer discretion. The weight of this event is forcing a repositioning within the court itself. You can imagine how much apprehension this is causing. Inside the courts, nothing is said openly, but in private conversations, comments are inevitable. The fear is that this connection with the U.S. will set an uncomfortable precedent for future actions involving Brazilian authorities. Some say this gift wasn't exactly a courtesy, but rather a warning. And, let's face it, when a country like the United States sends a message, it's a sign that the consequences could be serious. This isn't just domestic politics, but something that could reverberate internationally. For those who, like you, follow the clash between institutions, the reading is clear. This episode exposes a fragility in the relationship between Brazil and the United States. And, more than that, it highlights a justice who until then seemed untouchable. Behind the scenes at the Superior Court of Justice, STJ, tension is rising because many judges don't want to get involved in a problem they didn't create, but which is now knocking at their door. The atmosphere became tense, and there was fear that any statement would be interpreted as a political stance. The fact is that Alexandre de Moraes, a central figure in so many recent clashes, finds his name linked to an external lawsuit that threatens his image both at home and abroad. And, to give you an idea, when credibility is at stake, the consequences can be unpredictable. It's as if a curtain has been pulled back and everyone can suddenly see behind the scenes. This controversial situation is, in practice, a puzzle piece that could fit into something much larger. And in politics, nothing happens by chance. Meanwhile, in the press, information arrives fragmented. Some outlets avoid highlighting it, others prefer to suppress it. But the truth is that in the legal corridors, news travels by word of mouth, further fueling the feeling that something big is coming. You might be wondering, why is the atmosphere so tense at the Superior Court of Justice, STJ? Simple. Because, contrary to what many think, this court is not just a bureaucratic body. It is also affected by external and internal pressures, and this new development from the U.S. fuels already existing disputes. The ministers, even if silent, know that any decision from now on will be read through this new lens. And no one wants to bear the burden of appearing complicit or negligent in the face of an international controversy. This is a moment when the power play shows its clearest face. You, who are following along, realize how small movements can completely change the perception of a public figure. Moraes, until then seen as unshakable, now has to deal with a completely different scenario. Backstage conversations indicate concern about not letting this case escalate further. But the problem is that the longer they try to hold it back, the more curiosity grows among the public and the international press. This controversial gift, which seemed limited to documents and formalities, has already taken on the air of a political bomb. And once it explodes, there's no turning back. The most you can do is manage the shrapnel. The Superior Court of Justice, on this board, appears as the stage for a veiled dispute. And, as in every political plot, there are those who favor it, those who prefer silence, and those who wait to see who will emerge victorious. In the midst of all this, you realize how politics isn't just about speeches on platforms, but also about symbolic gestures. This gift from the U.S. isn't just a gift. It's a message. And messages, at this level, always carry more than they appear. Now, what remains to be seen is to what extent this pressure will translate into concrete action. Because, for those of you who are following along, the feeling is clear: Brazil is about to experience another decisive chapter in its recent history. And, meanwhile, the eyes of the world are turning here. What happens inside Brazilian courts is no longer just an internal matter. And you, listening, know that we are facing one of those moments that will be remembered in history books. Some analysts are already commenting that the true impact of this gift lies not in the object itself, but in the political interpretation it provokes. Can you see how certain gestures carry hidden meanings that few have the courage to say out loud? Well, that's what's happening now. In practice, the gift served as a trigger. It opened the door to speculation, theories, and even suspicions of international conspiracy against key figures in the Brazilian judiciary. And what seemed distant is now knocking on our door, demonstrating just how global the political game is. Interestingly, even without official confirmation, this topic has taken over conversations in Brasilia. Representatives, senators, and even ministerial aides are speaking cautiously, but they don't hide their concern about the consequences. Amidst all this, the inevitable question arises: was the gift planned to expose internal weaknesses? After all, there's no such thing as naivete in politics. Every move has a strategy, and this situation can reveal much more than meets the eye. You've probably noticed how diplomacy is made of symbols. A gift, a handshake, a seemingly banal statement, everything is scrutinized. And when it involves the US, the impact multiplies. It's not just Brazil that's watching, it's the whole world. STJ justices, no matter how hard they try to avoid it, are being dragged into this storm. Many have avoided public engagements and minimized statements to avoid being associated with this charged climate. There's also concern about the repercussions on public opinion. For those of you who follow, it's easy to see the court's image of neutrality and balance is being weakened, and any decision from now on could be viewed with suspicion. External pressure is so strong that even Brazilian diplomats are being consulted on how to handle this situation. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Itamaraty, discreetly monitors every step, even if publicly remaining silent. The most intriguing thing is that no one knows for sure what the next move will be. The controversy spreads like smoke, and precisely because there's no clarity, the tension only increases. This uncertainty, for those closely following, is a sign that something even bigger may be coming. Some foreign media outlets have already begun to give the case space, reinforcing the idea that this is not just an isolated incident. The more the international press highlights it, the harder it becomes for Brasilia to contain the impact. And in this scenario, Moraes's figure becomes even more exposed. You've already noticed how he has been one of the protagonists of the Brazilian political scene. Now, in addition to internal disputes, he must deal with the shadow of external pressure. In the corridors of Congress, lawmakers are taking advantage of the opportunity to raise parallel debates. Some speak of foreign interference, others see this as an opportunity to weaken one of the most powerful figures in the judiciary. Meanwhile, the public follows with a mixture of curiosity and indignation. For you, the observer, it's impossible not to wonder, what does this gift really represent? Is it a symbol of rapprochement or a veiled warning? New details emerge every day. Small pieces of information that, when put together, paint an even more complex picture. This keeps the public engaged, because no one wants to miss the next chapter of this political soap opera. Inside the Superior Court of Justice, STJ, discreet meetings are taking place. Justices talk among themselves, seeking consensus on how to handle the repercussions. But the truth is, each one is also evaluating their own position on the board. You can imagine how these conversations unfold: doors closed, cell phones turned off, words measured. It's the kind of situation where every gesture matters, and silence often speaks louder than speeches. There's also the fear that this case is just the tip of the iceberg. This case could be the first visible piece of a larger scheme, the objective of which may only be revealed over time. This creates inevitable suspense. The atmosphere at the Superior Court of Justice is no longer the same as it was weeks ago. the air of formality and distance has given way to suspicious glances and quick conversations in the hallways. To you, watching from the outside, it may seem subtle, but inside, the atmosphere is almost suffocating. And the curious thing is that, even in the face of all this, no one dares to openly speak their mind. Fear of reprisals, misunderstandings, or even international retaliation weighs heavily on every word. But, as you know, this silence also communicates a lot. As I near the end of this analysis, I want to thank you for following me this far. It's important that you stay up to date on these behind-the-scenes details, because only then can you understand the weight of the political movements that directly affect your daily life. Please confirm that you received this political message on the Mapadu chaos188 channel, where you will find exclusive news and in-depth analysis, our content that is always reliable and focused on what really matters. Therefore, I urge you, subscribe to the channel now and activate the notification bell. This is the only way to ensure you don't miss any details of the upcoming revelations. Remember, each video is an essential piece in this great puzzle of Brazilian and international politics. So, stay tuned for future content, because the story is far from over.